This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, boys and girls from Linville, Edom Elementary, all the way from Virginia. Welcome to the Maasai Mara, the Mara Triangle, all the way up here in Kenya, middle of the continent, pretty much. Welcome. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Manu. We're out in the African wilderness. It is a nice warm day. It's 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Celsius.
A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the show. I am Sydney Fumuran Mikosi and I am here with Seb this afternoon. We are trying to find some of the spotted cats. We are specifically looking for the leopards. So I am looking for Tingana as well as Hosana. I was with them this morning in the same area, but now it looks like they are hiding somewhere in the thick bushes. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. And kids, you can ask your teachers to ask us questions. So now let's go to Brent.
Hello and welcome, kids. It's great to have you on this very special school drive. I have been lucky enough to find a nice big herd of elephants. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my friend Senzo on camera, and we are completely surrounded by these ellies as they move around and feed here. So let's move a little bit closer. We want to have a look at them feeding. Probably about 25 or 30 elephants spread through this little riverine system. Remember, I want to hear all your questions, please, guys. And I'd love to have some questions from you. Hello, cheeky little boy. Here's a little male there. What you doing? It is wonderful to spend time with elephants. It's a beautiful afternoon here in South Africa. And the ellies are munching away. Jonathan would like to know how many different types of plants are there here. Many. Over 1,000, Jonathan. Well over 1,000. Just in this area where I'm sitting now, off the top of my head, I can see at least 100 plus species of trees, plants, and grass. Of course, lots of elephants as well. There's also some inyala, which are a type of antelope. And they're browsing in this little riverine thicket. There we go. There's a female inyala. And I had planned my day to go look for a leopard. But before I got to the area where the leopard was this morning, we found a whole big herd of elephants on Chitwa Chitwa. And for big animals, they can move very quietly. Look how he's using his trunk to break off little branches. There's 100,000 muscles in an elephant's trunk. And incredibly dexterous. They can pick up tiny little things with their trunk. They can use it to break branches, pick individual fruits or leaves. Absolutely magical. Leah would like to know, oh, here comes a big one. What type of plants do elephants eat? Leah, they have a very varied diet. At the moment, that little one we've been watching has been feeding off a spike thorn, which is a type of bush, and that big one's actually got a bush willow in its mouth. But they have a huge variety of plants that they eat. But during this time of the year, before we've had our big rains and there's not much grass around, 80% of their diet is made up of trees and shrubs and bushes. And once we've had lots of rain and the grass comes out, their diet will change, and 80% of their diet will be made up of grass and only 20% of trees and bushes. Let's move forward a little bit. Let's have a look at what the rest of the herd are doing up ahead. There's a little baby coming. That's what I wanted to see. Hello, little trouble. And that one's small enough now that it probably isn't eating trees and bushes. It's still surviving mostly on mom's milk. There we go. You can see there is a safari lodge behind. That safari lodge is Chitwa Chitwa, where people come on holiday to see these incredible animals. Hey, little guy. And mom's... Don't know if you guys heard that, but you might have heard a sound that sounded a bit like a purr. Elephants communicate. They talk to each other in these low rumbles. Some of them are so low we can't even hear them. Okay, the Ellie's going to disappear into the bush, so I'm going to have to follow them. That is an excellent question by Jamie. Jamie's wondering, how much water can an elephant hold in its trunk? Well, of course it depends on the size of the elephant, but a very big elephant can hold as much as, I'm trying to work this out in gallons for you because I know liters, 4.5 years, probably about 3 or 4 gallons in a very big elephant, but most elephant around 2 gallons in their trunk. Now, a big elephant bull, a big male, can drink over 100 liters, so what is that in gallons now? Woof! 4.5 liters is 1 gallon. 45 liters is 10 gallons. So I can drink over 20 gallons of water a day. Isn't that beautiful? Oof, Nico, I don't know the answer to that question. How many muscles are there in an elephant's body? A lot. Just think about if there's 100,000 in its trunk. Obviously, there's a lot more muscles in its trunk, but I would be lying if I told you I knew how many muscles there were in the whole body of an elephant. See, elephants have to eat so much that they have to keep moving, so they'll stop, they'll feed for a bit, and then they'll move on. And fortunately for me, these elephants are moving in the direction I want to go, where I was going to go look for a leopard. Lovely big herd of Ellies. Now they can walk big distances as well. Riley's wondering, how tall can an elephant get? The biggest, very big bulls are about 4.5 meters at the shoulder, which is just under 20 feet. And this is what my traffic jam looks like here in the African bush. When I'm in a rush to get somewhere, often I get stopped by elephants. So this is my bush traffic jam. And we don't want to rush the elephants. While I wait for my traffic jam to disappear, let's go across to Sydney, who's found a leopard already.
I've got one of the lovely leopards in the area. This is called Hosanna. You can see this leopard is just lying down flat. Now is the best time for this kind of big cats to sleep, as they are much more active late in the evening and mornings. But if the weather is good during the day, when it's overcast, you can also see them going up and down. So you can see he's trying to find some shade here. The bush is so very dry. Nancy, here we do see quite a lot of animals, such as the impala, which are the small antelopes, and predators that we are seeing the most is the leopards. We see leopards the most, and we see lions. Sometimes we also see predators such as the wild dogs, and also small predators such as the jackals. Hyenas, we see them a lot as well. So those are the kind of animals that we are seeing very often. The rarest animals to see on a safari includes the animals such as the artifact. Artifact is an animal which has got a very long nose and is the first word on all English dictionaries. This animal is active at night. During the winter season, you can be lucky and see them during the daytime. I have seen it before during the daytime a lot. So you can see how he's breathing, that air is relaxing and it's very much hot at the moment. Meadow, the leopards are carnivores. Carnivores are the animals who feed on meat. So the leopards, they eat meat, and they don't take down big animals such as the buffaloes or the elephants. They normally target the small animals such as the duikers, they target the steenbokkies. Sometimes they can take babies of the big animals, but they don't have the ability to take down big animals, because these kind of leopards, for them to get something, they hunt alone. They don't hunt as a team. That is why they must target something which is much easier for one animal to kill. Aiden, these animals can grow very big. What we are seeing now is a male. And this male is not that very old. It's just about to get to 3 years now. And these animals can live up to 15 to 17 years. And the size of the leopards, when they are fully grown, they are just between 60 and 90 kilograms. That is enormous. So you can see that he's got some spots. Look at those hairs there. Jada, the leopards, they live alone, but it depends. Sometimes you will see them together if it's a female and a cub. So the female, when she's got babies, she must have to look after the babies until they get to 2 years. That is when she will move them and they will start to become independent, and she will stay by herself. Sometimes you will see the males going to the females to visit them. Sometimes they visit each other, but not very often. They visit each other with the males once a year. You will see them together, unless there is a kill when they are competing for something to eat. But normally, leopards, they are solitary, which means they just live by themselves. So now let's go to Brent, who's got the largest land mammal.
Yes, we're still spending time with this wonderful herd of ellies. They've spread out more at the moment, and they're just slowly feeding through the very dry bushveld. We had a bit of rain yesterday, but not too much. and it'll take a couple of days for it to get green. Caden is wondering, where do they get water in the dry season? Caden, elephants are incredible. They'll dig it out in dry riverbeds, but also here there's some big water holes that will have water throughout the dry season. Oh, seems we've got some pretty birds as well on top of the dead tree there. Now, these birds are starlings. Which starling do we have there? I need to see his head. So we need to see what color his eyes. There we go. It's a glossy starling. And what they'll do is they'll follow the elephants. And as the elephants feed, they're hoping that the elephants will disturb some insects and they'll be able to catch them. So as the elephants break branches and move through the bush, lots of little bugs jump out. Oh, there we go. There's one nice in the road. Just tried to catch something that flew away from the elephant. There we go, you can see how shiny they are. There we go, did it find something? Something landed, a grasshopper or something jumped out into the road, and the starling was after it, but wasn't quick enough. It's trying to walk now to disturb it, to chase it up. So you can see where it is. Oh, we've got another species of starling that's also following the elephants a little bit further down the road, and those are called wattled starlings. And there's also a Cape turtle dove. Just move forward a little bit. Jamie is wondering, what is the temperature like at the moment? Jamie, it's actually very pleasant. Normally it's quite hot at this time of the year. It is warm. It's about 24 degrees Celsius, which is 60 something Fahrenheit, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's 75, thank you. Sorry, conversions are not my strong point. Oh yeah, well, those are those very bright birds we were just looking at. Python and Riley would like to know how long an elephant's trunk gets. Of course, it depends on the size of the elephant, but they can be longer than me, and I'm pretty long. They can be over 2.5 meters long. Oh, Sens, let's come here quickly. There's a very pretty little bird. Okay, so you see that little, oh, it's flown away. It was a little Apalus, and it's gone. Don't worry. I will stick with the Ellies. Now I'm just going to roll down the hill a little bit. I hope the Ellies are going to walk right past us. Jamie says, why do elephants look so old? I'm going to sketch you a gap. How's that, Sense? Jamie, they look so old because they've got such thick skin. They need that thick, wrinkly skin to protect them from all the sharp trees and branches that they walk through all the time. Now that elephant, even though it looks old, that's a teenager. Probably about 17 or 18 years old, that elephant there. And it's a little boy. Well, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with our elephants here. While we do that, let's send you back to Sydney and the elephant. And the leopard.
So I'm still here with a sleepy cat. You can see that this cat is now, is stretching at least a little bit. You can see that this cat is enjoying the sleep. It's moving a little bit. It's using some of the bark fallen from the tree as a pillow. So that is where the head is. Unfortunately, this cat, it doesn't want us to see the head this afternoon. Leah, there is quite a lot of leopards here in the reserve because we don't have a fence at the moment. The fence has been taken down between us and the neighboring farms. We are part of the greater Kruger National Park. Animals, they've got a free access roaming. So here where we are, leopards that we see the most is the one we are seeing now, Wasana, and the dead is called Tingana. We also see another one called Tandi, which has got a cub called Kalamba. Apart from that, there's another male called Hukumuri and another one who comes to the area as well called Umfokazi. There's quite a lot of leopards here, and some, they just introduce themselves for the first time. So it's quite a lot of leopards activities in the area. So the leopards are cats, and the cats, they are very successful breeders. The problem is, here in the bush, when this animal gives birth, the chances of survival for the little ones are very low because of the following. When the female has got cubs, she must have to go and look for a den. And remember, the father, the dad, is not responsible to raise the little one. It's all the responsibility of the female, which means most of the time the cubs, the babies, will be left unattended. And when the babies are left unattended, some of the predators, such as the wild dogs, when they come, and the hyenas, when they come to those areas, if they manage to find the den, they eat the babies. They breed so well, but chances of their little ones to survive, they are not very high.
I think they meant breeze. Breathing, yeah.
So they are breathing so fast because the sun is too hot. So when it's breathing like that is when the sun is too hot. And if you look at the stomach there now, you will see that the stomach looks big. This cat was eating something this morning, which was provided by the father who caught it yesterday. So today, his stomach is full and the sun is very hot. So the leopards can have sometimes one, sometimes you can see 2, 3, some can even have 4 babies. So they can have even more than that. So these cats can have quite a lot of little ones, but sometimes, rarely, you will see them with just one baby. So these animals, they've got a very interesting hobby. The leopards, they like the most doing some hunting. Now this leopard is sleeping. If anything presents itself now, he's going to wake up and hunt it. So they like to stalk animals and they like to hunt. When they're not sleeping, that is what they do. Sometimes you will see them even chasing animals up in the trees. So now let's go back to Brent and enjoy the elephants again.
Of course, the elephants just had to move behind a bush as you were coming across, so I'm just moving the car forward again. Here we go. Hello, elephants. Aiden and Tyson would like to know, how old are elephants when they get their tusks? Well, they have little baby tusks that fall out when they're about a year old. So their main tusks they get when they're about a year old. And their tusks will grow throughout their life. Isn't that cool? They just keep growing. They do break them when they're feeding sometimes, or in the bull's case, when they're fighting for girlfriends. Lindsay has asked an actually fascinating question: why elephants are grey? Because it doesn't make sense to be a big grey animal and stand out in the hot sun eating all day. And it's obviously just a colour that they've evolved into. Now, elephants are quite unique in the fact that they're a big dark animal that can stay out in the sunshine all day. And that's got a lot to do with their ears. Now, their ears are basically big air conditioners. So at any one time they can have about 2 gallons of blood in their ears, and as they flap their ears they cool the blood down, which then gets sent through the rest of the body, so it keeps them cool. So they can afford to be grey, which is not really a great colour out in the sunshine, because they've got such an amazing air conditioning system. But I think we're going to leave our eddies for now, and I'm going to try and find the leopard that I've been trying to get to, but the ellies have been distracting me. So, how we find leopards is often we look for their footprints. And Naradi's asking what nocturnal animals live in this habitat. Lions, leopards, hyenas, bush babies, genets, civets, aardvark, aardwolf, owls, nightjars, lots of different creatures. I just need to be on my game drive radio for a second. So that's how we find out also where things are. We talk to each other on the game drive radio, or in this case, might even just talk to someone who's right in front of me. Okay, so while we do that, let's send you back to Sydney, who's with a sleepy kitty.
So the sleepy cat is right. They look at the spots. So these are the spots which helps these animals in order to match their surrounding when they are after something. When these animals are hunting, they rely on their spots. So these spots, it can chase them very easily, and they can easily get camouflaged. So you can see now that from a distance, it's not easy to see that leopard. So, Jamie, the female leopards, they've got small body size. And the male leopards, they've got big body size. And how they call as well, the male leopards, they've got a very thick voice. And they do something which is called to soar. They do it normally 4 times, and the females, they do it less than 4 times. And that is how we can easily distinguish from a distance. So this one from the head is big, and the body side is strongly built. Look at that. Now we can see the face. So he was just grooming himself a little bit. Aiden, the cheetah is a very small, slender cat. The leopard is a very big, bold-built cat. So if you look at the cheetah, the head is too small, and the leopard has got a very big head. The cheetah, if you look here, you will see it has got a tear mark as if it has been crying all day long. And the leopard don't have the tear mark. So the cheetahs, if you look at their tracks, when they are walking, you will see the nails on the ground. And the leopards, you don't see the nails because they withdraw them back. They are retractable. So that is how you can easily distinguish. And you must check the cheetahs when they're walking, the legs of the same times mostly walks at the same time. So these ones is different. Caden, the leopards do have predators, but that is determined by the age. As I indicated earlier, when the leopard is still young, it can be predated by other animals. But as soon as that leopard starts to grow and learn to defend itself, the chances of being predated are very much low, as he can be able to defend himself from there onwards. So predators, they do kill each other for the purpose of avoiding competition. Competition with food. It can also be competition for the females as well. So you can see that Nico and Lindsay, the leopards, they have got, I can say, it's not that very big compared to the biggest cat, the lions. Lions has got much bigger paw than a leopard. A leopard has got, it's big, but it's like just here by the middle of my palm. The size, I can say, is the middle of my palm, and that is how you're going to see. The size can be just the middle of my palm. You can be able to cover it on the ground. But for the lions are much bigger. So that is how you can easily distinguish between the two. But these cats, lions and leopards, they all got the retractable claws. They bring them back, so you can get confused, but you just have to check the arrangement and the size. Leopards are much way smaller than the lions. Leah, that is quite a very good question. The leopard we are seeing now, when they are going to predate, they prefer on a camouflage. They don't want to chase a prey for a long distance. They just jump and surprise a prey and catch it. The cheetahs, because of the adaptation they've got to have, which is for hunting by chasing a fleeing prey, they can run away much faster than the leopard. Cheetahs, they chase a prey until they catch. These ones, they wait for the prey to come closer and catch. Cheetahs will always run much faster than the leopard. But these cheetahs, when they are running away from the leopard or when they are running faster than the leopards, this is what is going to happen. He must have to also manage himself, because if he runs too fast for a long distance, the brain is going to overheat. He cannot run faster for a long distance. He must have to cool down the brain very quickly. Emmy, the baby leopard when they are born are very much small. And normally they are hidden in the hole. And they are born with the eyes closed. So there must have to be a development of that, which normally takes a week or two for them to start seeing. The reason for them to born like that is that if the eyes are open, they can easily damage the eyes because of the sun. And also, they can wander off far from the den. So that's why there has to be at least a week or two for the eyes to open. They are very much small, and the mother, how they move them from one place to the next, this is how they grab them. They grab them from the side of the neck, or here at the back of the neck. They grab the back of the neck and they move them just like that. So now let's go to Brent, who is also searching for another leopard.
Yes, I'm looking for a leopard, a female leopard. You're seeing a male leopard with Sydney. This female leopard's name is Tundi, and she had a big fight this morning. A big fight with another female leopard, and apparently she got quite beaten up and she lost the fight. So I got that information after drive. It happened during the day. And so she was last seen heading into this direction in this area. Josie's wondering, do leopards get aggressive easily? Yes, but most particularly they get aggressive with other leopards in their territory. They will fight other leopards that come into their territory. So yes, they can be aggressive, but normally to other leopards. Okay. Hopefully her injuries aren't too bad, because she's got a young leopard to look after, called Kalamba. Jada, yes, Jada, leopards are nocturnal, but like all predators, they are opportunists. So if something had to wander towards them during the day, they wouldn't say no. They might try catch it. Or, oof, that's a big hippo footprint. Let's just show you that quickly. There you go. That's a hippo footprint heading towards a big water hole. Big footprint. A massive footprint. Probably a male hippo. Heading down towards the water hole. And I'm going to keep searching for the leopard. Now, a leopard footprint is tiny and difficult to see. Leah is asking, do hippos attack anything that come into their territory? Not all the time, but yes, they can attack stuff that comes into their territory. Normally, they will try give a warning and chase the thing out of their territory before they attack. Okay, where are we now? Oh, here we go. So the place that leopard was last seen was just up ahead here in the dip. She was heading east. Big bump coming. There we go. Oof. Maddie, great question. What is the leopard population in Africa? It's very difficult to determine the exact leopard population of Africa due to the fact that a lot of areas we don't have information for. But it's estimated to be as low as 60,000, but could be as high as 150,000. So, especially in areas like the rainforest and that, it's very difficult to actually find out how many leopards are really there. This area, where we are, has got a very high density of leopards, and we're quite lucky. And now we're in the spot where she was last seen. She was last seen heading this direction. So now I just want to have a look for some footprints to see if she walked down this road. I'm going to go very carefully because leopard footprints are very soft, so I've got to check very carefully. So while I'm checking very carefully and I'm still searching for my leopard, let's go see the very sleepy leopard with Sydney.
So you can see that the tree this leopard is hiding under is completely dry and is falling apart. I can see the branches are falling and the bark is falling. So now here where I am, it is dry at the moment and the trees are not providing enough shade for this animal. So that's why this animal, you can see now, he is forcing to lie down here flat, although there is not much shade suitable for him to lie down there. Nico, the leopards, if you look at their spots and the color, it's not the same. So the spots and the colors of the leopard is like our fingerprints. If you check our thumb, it looks alike, but it's not the same. So each one of them has got its own individual identity. So here, leopards, the spots, they are just unique. And some of them here, we can be able to recognize them just by looking at the spots. So the spots are not the same at all. Tyson, the leopard's favorite food here in Juma is the duiker. So the duikers is the one that get caught the most. Why? Because the duikers, they normally come to drink after dark. And after dark is when this animal can get camouflaged because it's during the dark and you cannot see him nicely at night. That is when they do quite a lot of catching of these kind of duiker animals. But leopards are not selective. They are opportunistic hunters and they just take anything which presents itself, whether big or small, including birds. So you can see he's enjoying his pillow there. Lindsay, the leopards, they eat quite a lot. And before they eat, they catch something and take it up into a tree. Normally, they eat 30 kilograms. So 30 kilograms is quite a lot. And if you can check, the duikers I was talking about can weigh 18 to 25 kilograms. So they can be able to eat that. Sometimes they will take it and eat for a day. Sometimes if some of these animals are big, they can even take 2 days eating the same animal or more. So it's not necessary for them to catch something now and eat and finish at the same time. And sometimes when having a kill already, if another animal comes, they can catch again and have 2 kills at the same time. That is normal to these kind of cats. So you can see that the paw is just that is facing to the other side, but if you look there, so these are the paws which helps them to grab. They are very strong muscles. They've got strong muscles by their front legs, which helps them to grab something. And also the back legs, they are also equipped with strong muscles to pull this animal to climb into a tree when it's holding a prey. A prey is an animal which gets caught. So these kind of leopards, when their paws, they are not, they are designed in order to walk on rough surface. They walk on the ground and then they also climb trees. And trees has got very hard barks, some of these trees. So they are adapted to climb the trees, but they do experience thorns. You will see them sometimes, you look at that. You will see them sometimes using their mouth in order to take off some of the thorns. Brooklyn, if you wake the leopard up, let's say you are walking in the bush, because we also do the guided walks. When we are doing a guided walk, normally when the leopard picks up your presence, they just avoid you and run away. But if you wake up a leopard which has got the behavior which has been modified, let's say for example, there is hunting activities taking place in the area. That makes the animals to become wary and they start to associate killing with the human beings. And those ones, if you wake him up, he's going to retaliate and try to defend itself. Whether you are coming there for him or not, because he picked up the human scent, he must have to defend himself. So, but now here, if I wake this him up, he's just going to wake up and look at me and no worries, because They are here enjoying their peace of mind. Thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Unfortunately, this is my time to say goodbye. And until next time, if you come back again, because I saw that it's not the first time you are joining us, we are hoping to host you next time again. So now we can go back to Brent.
Welcome back. So I'm searching for Thandi. She had a fight after drive this morning with Sibui. And apparently Sibui gave her a proper hiding. And the last place she was seen was around here. So I'm just checking these thickets to see if she's not licking her wounds. Somewhere around here in the Mulwanini. But I've got a feeling, I'm just double checking here, and I've checked the top end already. I've got a feeling she would have skedaddled back towards Torchwood. So I'm going to go have a look around there as well. Apparently she's got a wound on her back leg. I'm not sure which leg. Quite a big one. So she was last seen heading east from here. So, but I've checked around. It is difficult to find tracks at the moment. And if she was moving quickly after that fight, it'll be even harder to find tracks. We've got lots of relaxed guinea fowl and stuff around. They're not making any noise. So unlikely that she's still here. As I said, I think she might have moved back towards Torchwood. Okay. Bye, guineas. So it looks like Sibui is definitely pushing in to this area, which means Kachava has probably moved further to the east or southeast. There was that gap between Nkanyeni and Thandi that they both sometimes go into, but very, very seldom, sort of around the Cheetah Plains Lodge. So I'm guessing Kachava's moved that way. She's moved more to the east of Chitwa, and with Thandi moving up to the north, Sibui is now taking this prime territory around the Mulwanini River. And Thandi is getting old. Duke, it's difficult to say whether she's lost territory over the site, which is what Duke is asking, because she doesn't come this side very often anymore. She almost sort of gave up on this area to Kuchava. But maybe Sibui's been vocalizing, and that's what's brought her down here, and she tried to sort of see off an unrelated female coming into the area. But alas, we got no fresh sign of her. But I'm guessing if she lost as badly as what my brother told me she did, she's going to head back north to Torchwood. I thought I'd just have a look in this little drainage system, just in case she might have been resting up from her injuries. So I think I'm gonna leave Chitwa. It's been wonderful, lovely Ellies, and see if we can maybe track down Thandi. If we have no luck, I'll go look for that pregnant Talamati lioness we had this morning. But in the meantime, let's go see the little chief who's having a snooze.
So I've got the little chief at the moment. You can see the little chief is now lying down facing up and trying to catch some of the flies there. So I saw that just now. So I hope he's going to wake up and move maybe to the better spot, as here where I am is quite a bit difficult for us to have a great sighting. So it's just today is giving us a different look. A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the normal game drive. So it looks like the flies are too fast. I can see that he's trying to catch them. And these flies can be able to taste it can be able to taste something when they land on it. So when these flies land on this animal, because Hosanna was feeding this morning, maybe there are some of the blood which are stick on him, which is attracting them, or maybe the bad smell which is attracting them because of the blood which has been there for a long time. Maybe those are the things attracting those flies there. So when they land on something, they've got taste buds. So now let's go back to the Maasai Mara to Steve, who's got some lions at the moment. Steve is back in action.
Everybody, welcome to the Mara. Unfortunately, we have been communications down for some period of time, but that's okay. It's given Manu and myself an opportunity to find the Sausage Tree Pride with all members intact at the moment. They are the two really small youngsters, and then two other youngsters there. They're a little bit older, so we got about maybe 3-4 month olds and about 5-6 month olds with the whole pride. 5 females are here, one looking very, very fat, or from either feeding or from being pregnant. It's very hard to tell, that not being individual. There, she's clearly got suckle marks on her belly, and the cubs have been running absolute riot with this one. You need to be very patient to be a lioness. Rebecca, the sausages indeed, all of them, the little ones and the big ones. And here we have little youngsters that are full of energy. We are very excited for that because, well, we've been bumbling around trying to find them, and I'm quite disappointed because we're very close to where I looked for them this morning. I just went across this one lugger and they were on the other side. But anyway, that's the way it works. And now we have them moving around. There you go. You can see on the right there's 2 cubs there. One is a bit bigger than the other one, and often they play a little bit rougher than the youngster likes, and sometimes causes the smaller one to get a little bit angry. But these are very important lessons for life, and being a month or 2 apart won't do too much in the way of their growing up. They'll become very similar in size, obviously depending on sex. At least one of them that I saw before was a male. Couldn't tell you which one at the moment. They're all shrouded in the long grass. The wind is very, very powerful at the moment. You can tell the grass moving there. And not far away we left an enormous herd of buffalo, which Manu assures me the Sausage Tree Pride is a huge fan of buffalo. But the lioness are doing what... Oh, hey, hello. She's up. Hello, Mama. Now, I'm assuming that she is the mother of the 2 youngest, because the other lioness that moved from the shadows, or what was lying up in the shadows further away, had one of the older of the cubs with her. So I'm going to assume, I couldn't tell you her name right now, I'm afraid. But indeed, 2 sets of cubs, lots of energy. You can actually see the size difference now. Look at that one in the back. You actually see there's a few more spots on the head. And the eyes are almost seem quite dark. Like a translucent dark, if that makes any sense. And the youngster in the foreground are getting a little bit bigger, and they're definitely dominating the younger ones. But it's all fun and games in the Sausage Tree Pride this afternoon, for the youngsters that is. They still have claws, and they still have little teeth that are quite sharp. Back to the adult for a little bit of a bite. She's getting a little bit annoyed. Everyone's enjoying the cubs, well, so are we. Manu was asking, well, saying earlier, well, I wonder if we will find them, and if we do find them, if the whole pride will be there. And I said, of course they will. It's the way it is, you know. Manu and I, when we go out, we find magic. He's giggling in the background. We're very excited to see them. I'd searched for the cubs last time I was here. I didn't have any luck, though. I think the 2 of the youngest ones would have been impossible to find because they were probably a little bit too small and probably hidden, sheltered away in a den site somewhere. I definitely saw the adults moving towards them up in the mountains around by Kilo 2, but we didn't follow them. We let them go. Oh, there's some love. Aren't they beautiful? Gary males in any race or form will always try and dominate the other ones. There, that's the male. That's the male on top. You just had a little bit of a penis sort of sheath there. The males, from a size point of view, just get a little bit bigger and stronger. But from a very young age, there's not too much in it with regards to cubs. But when you're a month older than one, you're going to be much stronger than them anyway. So the males have just got maybe a little bit more energy, a little bit more boisterous than the females are. As in most species, the males will just be a little bit more sort of bouncy around, and the females maybe a bit more thoughtful in what they do. I don't know if that's the same for lions, but we have got the Sausage Tree Pride this afternoon, and really special. We're doing a SABC rehearsal this evening, and we're going to be looking at these guys, so that's very nice. James asked me if we could find them, and I said I'd do my best. It's just teeth. If you've ever owned a kitten, you will know exactly what's going on right now. The claws and the teeth are everywhere. And you see the back claws are scratching, the front claws are scratching, the teeth, there we go, the teeth are grabbing. Jessamy, you want to know how big newborn lion cubs are from a weight perspective? I reckon they're probably about 500 grams or so. I'm not 100% sure though. I've never actually held one. Manu, have you ever heard of the weight of a lion cub?
No.
I wouldn't say it's a kilogram though. I said they're quite small. They're very small. Jessamy, I'm sorry I don't have an exact figure for you, but I'm going to guess around the region of 400 to 500 grams at birth. But that's something I'm going to have to check up for you. All I know is that they are born with their eyes closed. They do have fur on them, but they are just tiny little bundles of fluff. Earlier this year, Brent was up here with the Sausage Tree Pride, and there was that one youngster that was just a little bundle that didn't survive, unfortunately, but it was just so cute. And I know there's a running discussion between James and the other guides about what is cuter, a lion cub or a leopard cub, and well, there's one for you. That's about as cute as a lion cub gets. You can see the spots on the back of the leg. Very cute. Leopard cubs though. Sorry, I didn't copy who was that cursed. So I think leopard cubs are very cute, but I've spent a lot more time with lion cubs. FC is voting for lion cubs. Well, FC's all behind the lion cubs. It's because you haven't seen any in some time, that's why. There we go, it's just teeth and claws. I suppose they're also cuter because there's more than one. There's 4 of them here. When last did I see 2 leopard cubs together? It's been a long time for me. And when there's just so many of them, they're playful. They keep each other busy at least. Tundi used to get quite annoyed with Columba and her antics, when at least now the adults can just let the cubs play. Every now and again they come over and bite their ear and whatever, but well, they get over. There we go. Here he comes. Ooh, he's going to stalk. Let me stand on Mum while I stalk. Ooh, I'm going for Mum's tail. Okay, see, so that is one of the youngest cubs, and I'm guessing that is Mum. If it starts suckling, very likely, but bearing in mind lions will communal suckle, sisters being closely related. So we've got 2 adults here that clearly have cubs, 2 each. 1 lioness, which we think is very nearly ready to pop, and then fifth one, hang on, I'm getting confused. A 4th one being Kinky Tail, who was mating for a very long time before I left. Linda, they do have a beautiful play area. You can't see it from where we're sitting right now, but this area earlier today had lots and lots of buffalo moving through, so I don't think that's ideally what cubs should be playing with. Play with each other, and maybe a small antelope or 2 that Mum catches, but stay away from the big buffalo. Although I think it might have been Jamie or Taylor had one of the prides earlier this year playing with a young buffalo calf. It was very interesting to see as they learn how to tackle and practice. But it all starts here though, before the real game moves in. It all starts here with the youngsters playing with each other, tackling Mum, tackling her tail, stalking every individual that moves. See, the one on the right is watching. Oh, it's gone now. Here we go. There's the suckle marks on the nipples. Am I thirsty? No, I'm not. I still want to play. Come back. Yeah, they are very cute. Tackle. You see the one on the right is watching how things are going down. He's getting very excited. In a moment, I'm sure it's going to pounce. It's just watching as the one sibling plays with the other two, the two cousins. And there, the one in the middle rolling on the back, characteristic lion sort of submission and defense. Whenever a lion is sort of threatened, especially lionesses, they'll often roll on their back in sort of a defensive mode. It also shows a bit of submissive behavior. Male lion doing that, a dominant male or big male doing that with other males around could lead to his death, but a young male lion will definitely do that in the face of bigger adversaries, and it shows immediately that he's not being aggressive. But also, when you roll on your back, it puts all four paws into play as well as your teeth. It's quite effective when you have got protractile. There we go, that's the nice tackle. That's how you take down a buffalo. So Bako, you want to know where Kapuli is? I saw Kapuli with a big hole in his face. It must be a month ago already now. I can't remember the date. I've just gotten back yesterday, so I'm not 100% sure. Manu, have you seen Kapuli around?
Not recently.
Not recently. He is sporting a beautiful eye injury, but hasn't been seen recently. And yes, he is probably at least one of the fathers to some of these cubs, but I'm not 100% sure. That's one of the things with lion prides, is that it's confusing who exactly the adult or the dad might be. It's one of the strategies the females employ by mating with more than one male to add a bit of confusion. So he's never quite sure if it is his or not. But nice to see them out in the open now. There we go. You can clearly see the spots on the body. We're going to take our play to the top of the termite mound. They look down on the other side to maybe jump on one of the other youngsters. You can see the technique. Oop, there he goes. So we're giving them lots of space, and we're about 30 odd meters out. We're not getting too close. Let the lions do their thing. We've got a really nice camera, so we're able to see all of this from a distance. But in shot, there are at least 3 lionesses with 2 cubs. But while we stay here, we'll stay here with the Sausage Pride for some time. Let's go back down to Sydney, who's with the smoothest cat of them all.
So Hosanna is enjoying his sleep as usual at the moment. I'm just waiting to hear if the birds are going to call, because here where Hosanna is, it is an area where Tingana got disappeared this morning. And he got disappeared with very full bellies. So it means we might be lucky and see both of them here, maybe going to drink just shortly before or after the sunset. Maybe Hosanna as well might wake up and do some hunting, because he did not hunt this morning. He was just lucky. He was given the food by Tingana. He didn't steal the food at all. This morning, it was under a normal condition. I saw Tingana eating. After eating, got down from the tree, and when he was leaving the tree, Hosanna climbed. Tingana stopped and looked at Hosanna and did not get worried. And Hosanna went up into a tree and started eating. But while Tingana was still up the tree, Tingana did not want Hosanna to come in. He needed that kind of a respect to say, you only eat when I'm done. Remember, I'm the father. Nico, the leopards, the territory, not only specifically for the leopards, the territories can be very big areas, sometimes 4 kilometers square, but that is determined by competition. They can be smaller, sometimes can be even much larger than that. If the competition is too low, it can be a large area. But when the competition is too high, then they are all going to be very small. And remember, if they don't renew their scent in their territories, the chances of others to extend territories into their territories, they are also very much high. So the size of territories are determined by quite a lot of factors, which includes, which then includes the prey in the area. Leopards don't just mark for mating purposes. They mark for both mating and the density of the prey in the area. So now let's go back to Brent, who is now in search of Thandi.
So we've come to the area where little Tlalamba was last seen, just in case Thandi's come this way. As I say, finding tracks is very difficult after rain like this, so I'm just going very, very slowly. There have been other vehicles down here this morning, so hopefully we find a nice fresh pug on top of the vehicle tracks from this morning. Alas, nothing yet. I'm just going to keep checking this area very slowly, because she might be hiding in a thicket. Ah, yay, a road that no one has driven. It's a lovely little drainage system that runs between Lion Tree Road and Euphorbia Road, and I feel when we have come here occasionally looking for Tlalamba and haven't been able to find her, she might have been in the depths of this. So I'm going to check Euphorbia Road now down to the Moanini. As I say, I would have expected Thandi, after losing a fight, to head back up to the north. Now there's a couple of possibilities. She could have been mating down there, but if she was early in the Easter cycle, I expect her to have sought out Tingana first. Oh, look at that scrub here. You see it there, Sands? You see its ear shining. The light coming through its ear, making it much easier to spot. Hello, little scrub here. A Tlalamba treat. Now all we need is Tlalamba to bound out of the bush. But alas, I don't think that's going to happen just yet. So we're going to keep checking along the edge of this river system. As I said, she could have been mating, and that's what caused Sibui and her to come into close contact. However, I've spoken to my brother and the other guys who operate further to the south, and there's been no audio of mating activity. So I think that's unlikely. I think Thandi might have been responding to Sibui's territorial calling. Anyway, while I keep searching, let's send you back to the Maasai Mara, to Steve Ovo, and some very cute little sausages.
Well, thanks, Brent. We are still with the sausages and the cocktail sausages. Still busy playing. The energy has not abated. Here we go. What's it going to do? Oh, it's going to play with the grass. Everything is to be played with. Oh, she's got a bit of a limp. Oh, no, I think it's just lying on one of her bottom for a bit too long. She is not as rotund on the belly as the one individual we saw earlier, the one that we assume is pregnant. So we could be seeing one lioness disappearing. Oh, that's a very itchy chin. There's more, I think there's sometimes more enjoyment in there than really an itch. If you've ever scratched the chin of a cat, you'll know how much they enjoy being scratched underneath there. My cat used to drool when I scratched its chin, and well, the saliva that came out, the drool should I say, never smelt very nice. It did look very satisfying. Look at the youngster on the top, how its ears are flat. It's only a few months old, and it instinctively knows what to do. How it's moving around, it's going to stalk. Watch here. Look at it go. Look at the intention. Oh. And then the takedown. There we go. These are all such important lessons, folks, in the life of a lion. These first few months are very hard because, well, these youngsters can't defend themselves, and often the lioness will leave them somewhere as they go off to hunt. And the first 6 months to a year is probably the most important time, or at least the first 6 months, the most important period of a lion's life, especially a cub's life, due to the fact that, you know, if they don't get protected by the pride, there is a potential for them to be snatched up, unfortunately, by other predators. But it is a good time for play, a good time for practice. And once they reach 6 months, they generally do seem to make it in lion society, but important to have a lot of the life lessons out of the way before that time comes. You can see the size difference, can't you, between those two? The two on the left, the same size, and the one on the right, a little bit smaller. See how there's a female. Is that a female? Oh, that's hard to say. Sure, why don't we invite more people on board, Kirsty? You can see the youngster on the right, much smaller. You see the very different face as well. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Mara Triangle up here in Kenya, where we have found the members of the Sausage Tree Pride, new members called the cocktail sausages of the Sausage Tree Pride. We've got 2 cubs of about probably 5-6 months on the right-hand side, and then 2 youngsters of about 3 months. Well, one now on the right there, you can see. Just 3 to 4 months. First time I'm seeing them. It's the first time the entire pride has been seen together. There are 5 lioness here. One also looking a little bit pregnant. One who's been in a sort of mating relationship for some weeks now. No doubt will be providing some cubs soon. But for now, we have got 4 very playful youngsters that are thoroughly enjoying doing what they're doing. And please feel free to drop any comments or questions below. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you think of these antics of the grass attacking lions, and here comes an adult to maybe calm things down. Come on, everybody, time to calm down. They've been playing non-stop for a few moments, and we've been thoroughly enjoying it. This lioness is coming into an area where she's going to get lots of attention. Bright tonight, this is a very adorable scene. The light is just perfect. The Sausage Tree Pride is provided, well, has laid up for us here in the open. We are here all alone, watching them with their youngsters. First time myself seeing all of the pride together, and apparently first time we've all seen them all together. Welcome, folks. My name is Steve, and I'm joined by Manu on camera. And isn't this just wonderful? Live from the Mara right now with the Sausage Tree Pride and their little youngsters. There we go. So you see the lioness there, she's getting a little bit frustrated from time to time. She doesn't seem to have any suckle marks on her there. I don't think she is one of the mums. She's been sitting off to the side and now feels the need to come in to where the cubs are playing, and then was showing a few sort of snarling marks there, which is not really fair, is it? The cubs weren't bothering her. They haven't stopped. On their back they go, claws flailing in the air, sharp claws and teeth. Very important lessons being learnt here for the youngsters. How to tackle, how to take down. Sorry, Kirsty, you broke up there. I heard Linda's question about hold something was, but I didn't quite get the rest of it. Oh, hello, Linda. You want to know how old males need to be before they get pushed out of a pride? It really depends on the pride. Some prides males will stay in a sort of a not very open system. Males will stay in the pride, but in a very open system like the Mara, like the Kruger National Park, generally about 2 to 3 years, the males then get pushed away. But it depends on the adult males that dominate the pride, whether they are pushed away or not. So if new males don't move into the area and the old males stay, quite often young males can actually reach the age of 4, sometimes even 5, still within the pride of their dad. But what often happens is the dad sometimes takes a little bit of what's the word, gets a little bit annoyed with them and pushes them away. But very often what happens is the pride taken over by a new pride will immediately chase, or by new males should I say, will immediately chase away any young males in the pride or kill them, even if they are younger than 2, even 1 or so. Cubs younger than a year invariably sometimes will be killed by those males. Chitwika, this is 100% live. I hope my answer to your question will help you to believe us there. We're coming to all the way from the Maasai Mara. It is, what is the time? I'll tell you the time so you can... It is 6:15 in Kenya. So yes, it is indeed coming to you 100% live. And we just thought we'd share this wonderful moment with you, with the cubs that have been very boisterous and very playful. They've got sticks and grass, and they've got, oops, there's another one coming in from the side. They are just everywhere. Tom, no, they're not born with teeth, but they develop milk teeth not long after being born, and that lasts for a couple of months before being replaced by their sort of adult teeth, which will slowly grow into them as they start developing the taste for meat. But generally about 4 months before that starts happening. So these youngsters have got very sharp little milk teeth. I don't know if you've ever played with a kitten and has bitten you. Well, it's exactly the same story. Very sharp little daggers, and well, they're born with claws. Those definitely are there, and they are very sharp and designed for hooking, and they're still learning exactly how to use them. Pushing them out, grabbing onto the skin. See, you see the immediate submissive sort of behavior to dive on one's back there. It's very important if you want to survive as a lion, because there's hierarchies when it comes to being a lion, and you need to show submissive behavior from time to time if you don't want to get beaten up. And these youngsters are learning the hard way. That one in the middle is one of the younger ones, and the two of the older ones are really having a good go. There's lots of play though. It's not too serious at the moment. When it does get too serious, quite often mum might come over and give a little bit of a disciplinary swipe. But it is hard going being a lion cub. You need to compete first of all for mum's milk from the early days, and then as soon as meat becomes available, you need to compete with that. So if you're not strong enough to make it within the first 5 to 6 months, even the first 2 to 3 months, well then your genetics will not go through. Well, I've got a good news here. I've just spotted a male lion off to the right there, just through the thickets. I might have to move forward to see exactly who it is, just behind that stalk in the middle. I felt him looking at me. You know, you get that like chilling feeling down your spine. Now, I don't know who this is, and it is always very interesting and important to understand who the male lions are in an area, because there are new cubs here. If this is not a resident male, if this is not a male that these lionesses know, there could be some trouble. I'm not going to say too much about that, because hopefully there's not any trouble, but that lion knows that there are lions over here. He's not coming forward. He might have been there the whole time, I don't know, but he stood up and he's kind of looking in this direction. Oh, he's actually not standing up, my mistake. He's lying down, but he looked like he was standing up. Ray, there's more than one female. There's actually 5 females here. 5 females, and that male lion looks like he's just waking up. So I think he's been here all night. He's probably one of the dads, or he believes himself to be one of the dads. But Ray, the prides, generally prides are made up of 3 to 4, 5, 6 females, and they can be very successful. Even 2 lionesses can do quite well. The Owino pride, which is not far from here, they've got 2 adults, and they do quite well. Ideally, you want to get your youngsters, especially your females, to the age of 2, 2.5, where they start to assist in the hunting, which is obviously important as your bellies get bigger. But for now, these cubs are happy with milk, happy with mum, and with who could be dad over there lying up. But anyway, we're going to be staying with them. If you'd like to tune in, please do so. We are still live on YouTube, and will be so for the next 45 minutes or so. So tune in if you'd like to. Thank you for your comments, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Giving himself a very good scratch on the belly, folks. Welcome back, everybody. He's enjoying the scratch so much that he's licking his lips. I couldn't tell you who it is now. I'm going to assume that it's probably one of the 2 Aldonio Pyack males that were hanging around with him last time I was here, but I don't know. I haven't been around for almost 3 weeks. Could be absolutely anyone. But we'll keep very close tabs on him. Hopefully he'll come out a bit closer, maybe to get a good idea of him. But in the meantime, let's go back down to a very sleepy Hosana.
I am still here with the little chief, and the little chief is very much patient with the sun because he has been lying down there when the sun was hot, but now you can see the sun is at the better angle for him to have some shade. When hunting, he is not patient, but for the sun, he is very patient. So he's just a flat cat for the whole afternoon. Maybe he's just trying to invest more energy to show us some of the interesting hunting later on. Babs, and there's something I cannot remember. I think I made a little bit of a mistake earlier when I was talking about the size of the territory. Not 40,000 kilometers square, it's 4 kilometers square. So the leopard, both male and females, are territorial, and they are very strict. They don't welcome an animal of the same sex. In other words, in the territory of a male, another male cannot come in. In the territory of a female, a male can overlap and enter the territory of the females, hoping for an opportunity to mate. But also the female cannot extend the territory to another female. So it's a very strict rule. So these animals, they can be very much strict in their territories. And fights for the territoriality can be vicious. So it can be very tough. So Osana is going to be a territorial holder one of the good days. The thing is, we are not sure where his territory is going to be. He cannot automatically inherit the territory from Tingana. That one is impossible. Maybe he's got that mentality at this stage, but let something happens to Tingana, you will see what is going to happen. Or Tingana got badly injured, other males will come in the area here. It's not going to just have this territory for free, which is good because that is what impresses the females to mate with this. At the moment, Tingana is a dominant male here, and we have seen him introducing different females that we are seeing some for the first time. So you can see that Tingana is well recommended in this area because of his strength. So I don't know if maybe he's being recommended by the females who has mated with him before, or is just recommended from his soul by the females who are listening from a long distance. Maybe everybody in the area got impressed when Tingana is sowing. So it means this sow travels long distances because it's attracting these females from far. So these animals, for them to mark or demarcate the territories, they use the scent marks, and they use the preorbital glands, which are part of the facial glands. And sometimes you see that they urinate and scratch the urine so that they can have that urine to demarcate the pathways where it's walking. So a territorial demarcation point is it's like a bulletin board. And a bulletin board which has got the authentic information. Because when one goes there, he's going to know everything about the territorial holder. And he's going to get the real information. So you cannot go to the bulletin board and exaggerate stories about yourself. Here, everything by the demarcation point is real and is how it is. They leave behind information such as, this is my territory. I am 13 years, like if it's Wasana, I am heading towards 3 years old. And how you identify me, this is what you must look for. When I'm angry, I can get to this far. You must be very careful. You can see that is quite a very interesting message. When he's sowing, it means it's when he's emphasizing to say, this is my territory. this is my territory. If you come in here, you will know me very well. Only me and my females, we stay in here. He's communicating with the intruders, but also at the same time, they communicate with the other members. If it's a leap is a group of leopard together, or if not a leap, it will be just him talking, checking where the females are. So now we are from the territorial animal to another territorial cat. Not all animals are territorial. Let's see one of the territorial holders in Mara.
Indeed, a very territorial animal. And this male lion has finally stopped, I was going to say finally stopped licking his lips, but he hasn't. He's turning on the intensity of the nocturnal beast as he sat up. He's done a bit of grooming, a bit of a head shake, and then those eyes. Something about the stare of male lion's eyes. To become a true man in many African cultures, you need to be able to stand down a lion on foot by staring into those eyes. And I tell you, I've done it before. It is bone chilling. Your mind wants to run, but your body has learnt, well, the last 10 guys who ran, they didn't have children. So my genetic line obviously learned not to run. Tanis, I've never known a male lion to reject a female. I've never known that. Oh, the cubs are playing again on the left. I think they might be a little bit more interesting for now. And they're just here in the long grass. One just ran out and tackled. Tanis, I've never heard of a male lion rejecting a female. Invariably, when the female comes into estrus, she scent marks and she urine sprays, and he picks up that scent in the air, and it, well, basically drives him crazy. With most males in the animal kingdom, they pick up on the pheromones, and, well, all sorts of things take play. Basically, there are different drivers within animals, and it's important to understand these drivers, because at any one stage those drivers can outcompete another one. And just to make you understand what I mean by drivers, you get the sex drive, you get the need to eat, so the hunger drive, the fear of something drive, and those play a very important role in how an animal will behave on any given day, any given time. So invariably, starving animals are extremely dangerous. Mating animals can also be quite dangerous because they've forgotten to eat for some time, and they get hungry, and suddenly, like a bell goes off in their head, and they realize, oh, I'm starving, and so they could become dangerous. So even on foot, it's important to realize that mating lions, mating leopards, although they are dangerous in their own right, because they are mating, because the male wants to defend his female, so his mating sort of drive is very high. He's against all sorts of competition. He could also be very hungry, so any one of those could outweigh his fear of man drive, and, well, that could lead to a potentially dangerous situation. So it's important to understand that. There's one of the other lioness, the ones that we almost didn't see when we arrived, and I'm going to assume it's kinky tail due to the fact that we haven't seen a kinky tail in any of the adults yet so far. Two of them that were lying down were clearly mums. The other one that moved was clearly nearly a mum, and, well, the fifth one we never saw. Very good. The male lion has disappeared. As they do. We're looking at this lioness here. I think she might be the one who... Oh, he's moving off to the right there. Where's he going? He's just moved off right. Maybe he is hungry. There he goes through the thickets. But by the fact that he's been lying up not far from this pride, we're pretty sure he knows that they're here. He knows that they're here, and he knows that they're all together. So anyway, we're going to go back down to Brent Lear Smith, who looks like he wants to make himself some breakfast.
No, we will not be making breakfast with these eggs. It is a Senegal lapwing nest. Now, I'm actually very close, well, I'm almost in the exact same spot where we left that Talamati lioness this morning. And I remembered noticing the Senegal lapwings while we were sitting with her. So I just came and drove down here and watched where she stood up from and spotted the nest. They're the adults over there. Mom and dad are here. See them, Sands? There we go. Zoom. There we go, running there. There's mom and dad. We're not going to stay here too long so they can get back to their nest. It's actually the third or fourth Senegal lapwing nest I've found in the last 10 days or so. So there's quite a few of them around. You just got to know where to look. Very cool though to find them. Well, Paula is asking, are there any eggs in the bush that people would eat? Paula, if I was starving and needed to survive, I would eat those eggs very quickly. But unfortunately, the lioness I'm looking for is not here. But yes, Paula, you can eat most of the bird's eggs out in the bush. Fortunately, we don't have to, but if we did, we could. And it's very cool though to find these camouflaged nests. Okay. Oh, sorry, Sense. That was me pushing the clutch in. Now, we left her right over here, sleeping next to these guarri bushes here. So I'm hoping she hasn't moved too far north. But in the meantime, while I'm not having any luck with my cats today, let's go back to Steve, who's having all the luck. And it sounds like the Sausage Tree Pride are becoming well acquainted with our vehicle.
Everybody stand very, very still. We are being stalked. We repositioned the car. We tried to see if we could see the male again. He's just laid down behind a big tree. And the two youngest of the pride, I think this is the two. This is one of the old ones. It's hard to tell when they're this close, but they followed. I think it is the moving of the wheels. You see it with sort of saddle cubs as well. They'll follow wheels of a vehicle, but they're moving. And like, what's that? And they saw us moving into position, and this youngster came all the way up, and it's sitting 3.5 meters from my door. It was very special. Look at those eyes. Aren't they cute? Nowhere near as intense as that of the male lion's stare. Just beautiful puppy dog eyes, I suppose you'd call them, with ears that are just way too big for the head. All sorts of things going on in its head now, like what is this big thing that can smell all sorts of things, can see all sorts of things, and this is where the habituation process happens. My safari, I had my tummy was in my mouth. It was a very scary situation. I'm only joking. It is very cute to be stalked by little cubs, and the reality of it is, as the cubs would move towards you, they will look back and see the lionesses. They're very relaxed. They're not even paying attention. So the cubs will stalk again and then look back, and well, still no attention, and then they'll realize that there's nothing wrong here. There we go. Whoopsie, tackle time. And so that is exactly what habituation is once you have done the hard work of habituating an adult animal, the cubs are much easier. Oh, here comes the discipline I was talking about earlier. The cubs are much easier to habituate because basically they respond to the adult's behavior. Oh, what are you doing? Mum, take my foot out of your mouth. And there's the two younger cubs at the back and the two older ones in the front. And you see the difference in the spot pattern, really. The younger ones have got a little bit more spots on their head. It looks like the adults has had enough of the older ones playing shenanigans. And very small, these two, but very tough. Very tough. Much tougher than human babies, that's for sure. Bless you, little one. It looked like it sneezed twice there. I'm very blessed to be able to be spending... Oh, discipline. See, so that is the submissive behavior. The youngster went down. The adult told it what is wrong in a lion kind of way, and then it goes back to its cubs, rubs it on its head and goes, it's okay guys, it's going to leave you alone now. You know when you've got that cousin who's just a little bit too sort of pushy and shovey, and eventually becomes a little bit too rough for the youngsters? It's not the other one's fault. It's just trying to have fun. It's just a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, a little bit more weight. Leads to a little bit more of a bruiser, really. Lorena, nap time indeed. The cubs have been full of energy for some time, and I have no doubt that at some point the lions are probably going to hide them away somewhere in the thickets, somewhere while they go off to hunt a herd of buffalo that probably about 500 meters to a kilometer is all over the base of the escarpment, off towards sort of the direction this lioness is looking at, straight over my head really. There's a huge herd of buffalo far in the distance. They numbered more than 200-300, I would have said. Off to the right, almost seem like wildebeest with their numbers, but those are buffalo. And you don't take cubs in when you go hunting, so they'll be probably hidden somewhere in around this little drainage system that we were viewing the male lion across. The lionesses will basically look at their cubs, very similar to what Tundi did with Kalamba, and basically just give that sort of snarling grimace kind of look, like one of these, like, and then they all just, okay, time to stay. Ruben, you want to know if one male lion will protect cubs from other male lions? Well, any male lion that is not a brother or coalition member of a male that is dominating pride will defend itself, will defend the pride against that male. Even if they aren't cubs, even if they aren't females, if it sees a male it doesn't know, it'll go in and have some form of action with it. But if there are cubs here, if there are lionesses like this, he will put in all of his effort to defend them. This is his future. This is his future, this is his progeny going forward, and it's very important that he does keep a male out, because if a male lion gets through his defenses, sometimes a female will get involved and protect the cubs, but it is a very, very sad state of affairs. So the male lions will do everything in their power to defend, and that's one of the reasons why male lions form coalitions, so that they can have strength in numbers. Obviously 2 lions are generally better than 1. But sometimes it all comes down to attitude and experience, and the mane on a male lion often can be enough to intimidate another male. Big, black, hairy males are often a bit more formidable in stature and looking than that of less formed maned male lions, and often that's enough to set off a male lion in the opposite direction. But when it comes to blows, you obviously want some backup and reinforcements, and one male on its own has a hard time against 2, sometimes 3, sometimes even 5, 6 males were going up on one. And when that happens, invariably the one who loses the battle, if he doesn't die on sight, he will generally die from wounds. And that's why in the wild females live up to 15 odd years, sometimes 16, males on average no more than 10, because of the physicality of being a male lion. Lionesses can avoid a lot of that. Male lions, well, it's in their nature to breed, and when the breeding is done, their role in lion society really is ended. Sad as that might sound. So they go out with everything. If they lose a pride or they lose a territory, well, that's invariably them. They don't want to become a nomad. Nomadic lions do very, very badly. They don't last very long. There's a little bit of love happening. See the size of the paws there, difference in the paw size. Oh, what have I got? I've got some elephant dung. How amazing. Look, Mum. There we go, folks. Another use for elephant poo. Toys for the lion cubs. Very important. I wonder if that lion cub there knows how many medicinal properties you can get from elephant dung. Maybe it does know. It's got a bit of a teething problem, trying to cure something in its mouth. Okay, folks, well, we're not going anywhere. These cubs are playing way too much for us. So let's go back down to Sydney and the Little Chief.
So you can see that the tree where Hosanna is just lying under has got the squirrel. That squirrel is the one who informed us that Hosanna is here earlier on during our arrival. Is the squirrel who was making noise from the top. He was making that noise such as That is how the squirrels makes noise, and we heard that, and we started investigating. Then we found him lying down right there. So those squirrels is the one who normally informs all the other animals in the area about the presence of these big predators. So you can see he's listening there. He knows that the big cat is somewhere here on the ground. So these small animals, they do help us a lot. So I have seen quite a lot of cats because of their calls. I don't undermine any call from the squirrel. I know they don't only call because of the presence of the predators, because they also get predated by the birds. So sometimes when seeing birds, they also make noise. But I don't mind coming to check when they're calling. So you can see now, I think we are getting there. Hosanna is starting to become active now. You can see he's scratching there to try maybe and get rid of the parasites. And look at that. So at least now we can be able to see his face. So I haven't seen his face. I only saw it once since I have arrived here. So today it's getting difficult to see him. Look at how he's sleeping. He's so very much relaxed. So the squirrels can also be territorial. They don't have a competition with big animal, but squirrel cannot do his other related business. He can't do any other thing here because he's grounded. He cannot come down to the ground. If this squirrel has been up in that tree since our arrival of Hosanna, it means it's now probably hungry or thirsty. Because this cat, it looks like he's been here for quite a long time. So the squirrel is under a punishment. Maybe that is why he's there now. Maybe he's not there just for the sunset. He might be looking for a chance to go down, to go and get something to drink. You can see that this squirrel wants to come down. Rosalind, the squirrels cannot jump that far. There is a big difference between the squirrel and the bush baby. The bush baby can be able to pounce from there to the next tree. Squirrel, they can only link from the branches that are attaching to each other. They can only jump a very small gap. They can't jump a very high distance. But on the ground as well, their speed is very slow. I once got beaten by the scrub hair while I was still very young. I think I still have got the markings here. Maybe I can show you. I got beaten by the squirrel here while I was still very young. So they used to come for the berries. And one day I found one of the squirrel injured. I don't know what happened to that squirrel. So I went there to grab it just to see what is the problem. And that squirrel grabbed me here. And I had to leave it. Then I just put it back by the tree. But it was an adult male. And maybe they were fighting for the territory with the others. I don't know. Because these kind of animals can also be very territorial. And sometimes they join the mob when there are snakes by the trees. So they can get injured and they can get eaten by some of those big reptiles. At one stage here in Juma, I saw Hosanna when Hosanna was still very young. It was on Central Road. There was a squirrel, and Hosanna just climbed the tree and jumped and cornered the squirrel up in the tree. And that squirrel managed to escape because the squirrel jumped from the tree to the ground faster than Hosanna, faster than Kalamba. When Kalamba got to the ground, squirrel went into a hole by the tree, and that squirrel was just making noise, calling others that there is danger. So these kind of big animals, when they're too hungry, they can just take anything available. They don't mind. So now you can see that this is is quite a beautiful sighting. So now let's go to Brent and see what he's got for us.
Well, we've just got an absolutely gorgeous low felt evening. We're sitting on top of Second Rock. There where Senzo is showing you now is actually where that lioness was last. So we just came up to the top of the rock to listen for a little bit. And I won't lie, it's not too bad a view to take in while we're sitting here, while we're hoping to hear some alarm calls, some movement from the big cat. I was really hoping we might hear some barking of kudu or nyala to let us know that the cat, where exactly she might have gone. I thought she might come up onto the rock for a drink. You can see there's a few puddles around. It is beautiful up here. There we go. There's one of those lovely little pans. Now, since we got asked a bit earlier if you could eat the eggs, if I was thirsty, actually, since I'm quite thirsty. Lindsay says this is the most open view she's seen. It is a lovely, beautiful open view. Some magnificent rock this. But we're talking about survival. And would I eat the eggs? And I would if I was desperate. And if I wanted to guarantee myself a nice clean drink of water. It rained last night. These rocks, there's a few bugs. I can see a few wings in there, but delicious. Absolutely delicious. It actually is really, really nice tasting water. Actually so good I'm going to have another sip. What was that, Senzo? Have another sip. Yes. Yum. It's really, really, actually really does taste wonderful. Nice and fresh and clean. So if you ever do have to survive, rocks will hold water for quite a long time. So if we had to look at the base, you probably find at the base here is also where water would seep out. Apparently everyone's saying, oh no, I guarantee you this water is cleaner than the water that comes out of your taps. But no lions. So I think we're Laura says if I'm sick tomorrow, we all know why. Laura, the chances of me getting sick from drinking water are quite slim. Everyone else possibly, but not me. I have the constitution of an elephant when it comes to that type of stuff. I've been drinking water out of rivers and pans and puddles since I was a wee lad. My dad actually used to encourage it, and what it has done is given us very hard stomachs. It's very seldom that food or water will make us ill. You can see how hard the road is. It's so difficult to see tracks. Her general direction was north, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop around on these roads here, see if she has possibly tried to head north to join up with the rest of her pride. But so far I've seen waterbuck tracks, giraffe tracks, impala tracks, but no lion tracks. But luckily Steve doesn't even need to have lion tracks to find lions in the Mara, because he's still sitting with the magnificent sausage tree pride and their little cuties.
But we do need the infrared because the sun has set in the west and it is almost dark out here, so you'll see the colors have changed on the camera. Use the infrared to have a look at these lions without any light. And two lioness, there's actually three in picture. Well, the one's to the right, Manu. Is she up? Okay, here comes one. There's an individual that's walking straight towards Kinky Tail with her two cubs walking behind, and she's gone flat. And Kinky Tail just in front of her, and the two younger cubs there. a little bit far off. In Jenica, they've done a lot of studies and they don't think any predators can see in colour. Basically needing to be able to be nocturnal, to see in black and white, having what they are called in eyes as rod cells and cone cells. And rod cells are what make up the dominant proportion of most predators' eyes, most animals' eyes in fact. And what the rod cells do, there's Kinky Tail, is enable an animal to see in pitch darkness. So rod cells are good for low light, and but very bad for depth perception, whereas cone cells, which is what make up the most part of our eyes, are good for depth and for color. But if you see in color, you don't see very well at night. And so the animals that do see in color, baboons, monkeys, primates, humans, well, we'll go and hide in a tree or in a cave or lock a door somewhere. We don't move around at night, but most of the other animals that are out on the plains, they see in black and white as well, so as to improve their potential. She's got a bit of a limp, eh? Potential of spotting any predators that are lurking. But with the ability to see in the dark, lions also have the ability to control their pupil, to open it and close it, to take in as much light as possible. And if we're able to get close up to the lions without the infrared actually shines back and you see that little glow in the eye. But if you can look at the eye without the sort of infrared light, you'll see the pupil takes up the entire, or the dilated pupil takes up the entire iris of the eye. And if any of you have had a cat that's come in from the darkness out and come back in the house, you'll see their eyes are huge, and they're also acting a little bit wild. They've been out in the risky areas. And lions, the entire behavior changes at night time. They become the predator. They dominate the night time. Their whole attitude changes. There we go. All the lions are here. In the right of the picture, there you can see two lions, and one of them is busy suckling. Crafty, yes, most certainly, and that's one of the benefits of lionesses communally suckling. Now there you can see the one youngster is suckling at the moment. I think the other one might be there as well, but we can't see. Is that if one lioness has cubs, or is at least lactating at the same time as her sister, if her sister does die for whatever means, well, she will take over the duties. It is, from time to time, certain individuals might reject a cub. Well, in any species that might happen, but in lions they're quite known for keeping together and looking after each other's cubs and bringing them to adulthood. And only 3 months or 2.5 months extra would be needed to assist in that. So it's quite beneficial. That's one of the reasons for synchronized breeding, is that they obviously bring in a number of youngsters at the same time, because the success rate of lion cubs is quite low, so you can at least recruit a couple of individuals back into the population once they are weaned. But something that these lions would thoroughly enjoy to eat. Brent Leo Smith is watching.
We do have some zebras and some absolutely gorgeous lights, and I mentioned this morning that I was hoping that bit of rain we had might bring us some of the zebras back from the north and from the east. Let me just go forward. This just looks like two boys, two bachelors with no girlfriends. Shame piece. But it is such beautiful light here this evening. I'm just going to go forward a bit so Sens can get a nice gap and my shadow doesn't fall on that lovely light. Oh. I thought I heard a snort in the distance. So did that zebra. I see the impala's the one snorting. Impalas look like they might have spotted something. I'm not 100% sure. I thought I heard a snort. Two of the impalas are staring into the bush. The others are munching away. Just trying to see what they might be looking at. Just go forward a little bit. But I thought the snort came from further to the east of us. Let's just have a look. It's just such beautiful light. It's so crystal clear at the moment. All the dust is gone. And what are those down there? Wildebeest? The wildebeest or buffalo in the distance? Oh, just look at the lights on this impala. No, there's the zebra. I'm sure I heard something snort. And there's some zebra behind the impala that are looking nervous. Now all the impala are looking in that direction. I wonder if it's our lonely lioness. Oh, I can't not. It is just so beautiful and so perfect a light. I can't even blame the dust. The light on that impala is spectacular. This is that golden hour photographers refer to. It lasts a matter of minutes, because it certainly doesn't last an hour. I'm just going to go down this road a little bit to where those nervous zebra came out from. Hopefully we're going to find ourselves a big cat. In the meantime, let's go back to Hasana, who's made his way back to the meet.
So Hasana is now back by the kill, which has been taken down by Tingana yesterday. So this kill, it was here since yesterday, and this morning both Hasana and Tingana were interacting by the very same tree. And now this is the only little bit of meat left, but it's nothing there. It's just a skin now and some bones from the legs. So this shows you that this cat is very hungry, because there is not much left at the moment. So he's trying to skin the tail. Maybe he wants to eat that. I don't know. It's a very bushy tail. You can see this was a nyala. And earlier on we saw some of the birds. They benefited from him, because when he was taking off the hairs, the glassy starling was taking the hairs away. Obviously he was taking the hairs in order to build the nest. So you can see there's just the skin and the bones hanging. I don't think he will be here very long. So he's trying to have something from the legs now, and it's also difficult. So he's trying to pull that, and it's tightened against the tree. You can see he's trying by all means to pull that skin to the ground. It's not winning because it's dry where it's tightened at the moment. Tingana managed to strangle the kill against the branch. Yeah, he's so powerful. You can see he's shaking the whole tree. He's shaking the whole tree. But he has to be careful, because when he's shaking like that, look at that. Now you can see he's angry. Now he wants to get that. Now he really wants to get that skin. Look at that. So he's trying to work out something now. Maybe, let's see his next plan. He's trying to sterilize, to moisturize the meat from the saliva, but I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work. It is dry. It's like a biltong now. It has been there. Sun has been very hot during the day. It's now having biltong. So the biltong is the dried meat. This cat is so funny. Look at that. He cannot even grab nicely, but he's fighting by all means. now is falling. He nearly fell there. Look at that. So this is what they do when they're too hungry. So I'm sure this is going to motivate him to go and do some hunting tonight. So it has been a lovely day, coupled with quite a lot of sightings all the way from the Maasai Mara, where we saw the lions, and we also saw a lot of elephants and wasana. This brings us to the end of the afternoon show, and let's meet again tomorrow morning.